Greetings. My name is Ben, aka Downsize It, and I am joined by Social General Rob. And May the 4th be with you.
Yes.
And on this May the 4th day to celebrate Star Wars, Rob and I are doing our responses to the second AMA for my channel. And this will be the first one that involved Rob.
Yeah.
So we actually had quite a few responses. Thank you guys, considering you only had 3 days to get the questions in. It was kind of a last minute decision. So.
And Ben thought you couldn't do it, by the way, guys. He's like, there's no way. I was like, give him a chance, give him a chance. Like, no. But
yeah, I didn't know if 3 days was going to be enough time to get enough questions in, but
the first day, easily.
Yeah, that surprised me. It was very nice, so thank you. So we're just going to get right to it. And so our first question is from Beaker. When did you both start to play Armada? And out of all the Armada ships so far, what is your favorite and why? So Rob, you want to start us off?
I think we'll have to start with you, actually, because I played a year after you did.
Okay.
So you taught me, so it was a year after you started playing.
So the very, very first time I played was almost back when it first came out. This was way back in 2014, 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And in our area, it hasn't happened in a while, but I'm sure it'll pick back up. But they have what's called a monthly game day, where usually at like one of the game stores in our area, or at like community centers at apartment complexes, where everyone just gets together. They bring games, usually board games, and it's everybody from, you just sit around and just play games, try new stuff out. And then one of those, a friend of mine named Jonathan Abbott, he had just purchased the core set, and I think that's all he had was the core set. Armada had just come out, and he brought it just to try it out. And that was my first experience with Armada. I loved it. I thought it was. I had played X-Wing before that. I didn't own anything, but I'd known people that had X-Wing. I liked X-Wing, but I really liked seeing the big ships on the table. I was like, I like the idea of the strategy with the command dials and the big ships moving small squads around. And of course, at this time, I had no idea that the Star Destroyer wasn't out yet. So it was just the Victory and the Krellin Corvette and the Nebula. And you said X-Wings and TIE Fighters. That was it. So. And then I went for years, never played another game. And I always thought, maybe I want to get into it, and then came back to it, no. Maybe I want to get back to it, maybe no. Then it was 2017, when I finally pulled the trigger.
Okay.
And it was April, and I didn't buy anything new, I just scoured eBay. And I got really lucky. A guy was offloading a whole bunch of stuff. Like it was 2 Star Destroyers, an interdictor, a lot of Rebel stuff too. No big Rebel ships, but a lot of Rebel ships, a lot of Squadrons on both sides. It was a pretty massive lot for ultra cheap. I'm not going to tell you exactly how much it was, but it was really, really cheap. You can tell he was just wanting to get rid of it. And I got really lucky, so that's how I got my start into Armada. It was April 2017. And I mentioned this, I think, last AMA, and then I made the smart decision 3 months later when I went to Gen Con to play in the Nationals tournament, and proceeded to get my butt kicked. So that's when I got started. So,
and then same time that John Abbott brought to the game day that Ben was talking about, Star Wars, I was watching it, and I could see how the ships moved, and I was like, this is a game I could get into. And then so I was talking to Ben, and Ben said, yeah, I got it. I could teach you, and he did. And I've been enjoying it ever since. Of course, we brought Akbar, and that's why it became my favorite. But he also gave me the pickle, which is, I don't know if it's just a local area one we use, or if it's a common name for it, but
it's a common name, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, called the pickle.
I know sometimes.
For those that don't see MC-80.
Well, yeah, I was going to get
I'm Assault Cruiser, Command Cruiser, yeah.
Yeah, it was the MC-80 Command Cruiser, which is Akbar's ship. It command 4 squadrons, has 4 engineering, decent defenses, and it's a broadside ship. I mean, I love broadside ships because I just love the old days where you were in colonial ships where you had to do broadsides. So the pirate ships and all that stuff. I just love that type of ships. So yeah, I mean that just clicked with me, and I could see on the board how the ships moved. I've gotten a little rusty, but I could see. I was like, I know what that guy's going to do. I can see it even beforehand, and it looked like the movies to me. That's what it reminded me of. I don't know if it reminded you of the movies as well.
Oh yeah.
So
it's one thing that draws me to it.
Yeah. So I mean, I saw X-Wing played. I was like, it's just fighter versus fighter. Okay. I don't know. I like the whole entire fleet composition stuff. That's me.
Yeah.
And so yeah. So it was a year after Ben had started. He must have gotten his stuff because we played about everything.
Yeah, it didn't take me long to fill out with whatever was out by after Gen Con 2017. I had gone out and purchased to fill out, so I had at least one of everything.
Right.
By the end of 2017, and I think we started the first. We played a couple of test games, but then we started a Corellian conflict campaign with Buster and Albert. It wasn't Rebellion in the Rim yet, because that had come out, so it was the first Corellian conflict. We never finished it, but we played for a couple of months doing the Corellian conflict, and that's how I introduced it to Rob and Buster, and I think Albert. Albert at the time was. So. And for my favorite ship, for those that have not guessed already, it is the Imperial 2-star destroyer. It is by far and away my favorite ship in Armada, and the specific type as well. I just love the iconic look of the Star Destroyer, and I love the force projection that the Imperial 2 gives. The ability to reach out at medium range with 8 dice, you get the 4 red, 4 blue. I love favorite ion upgrade is leading shots, so you can get maximum dice mitigation, and it can be a battleship, it can be a carrier, it can be all at one. It's a good general ship, whatever you need. And it's not, some jack of all trades ships suffer by being a jack of all trades. The Imperial 2-star destroyer does not. It excels at whatever it is you want it to do, which is also why the base cost is 120 points. Only the Starhawk and the Super Star Destroyer are more expensive, and there's a reason for that.
Right.
And it should be that expensive. So, love the Imperial 2, and that's my favorite, and a good compliment to the Home 1.
Yes,
as those are they're basically the 2 flagships of the Rebels and the Imperials in the classic Star Wars.
And again, I think the Home 1 also has the same, not dice pool and stuff, but it's a jack of all trades if it needs to be. If you want to be a squadron pusher, it can be. If you want to be just an assault ship, it can be.
Especially with Akbar.
Yeah, especially with Akbar. Yeah. So and then I do want to do one honorable mention of a ship that I like, and you might agree actually, is the Drunken Party.
Yeah, the Drunken Party bus
has become a, also we'll call it an honorable mention, because I think it's just...
Yeah. I mean, a staple of the channel now. Legend growing. For those that don't know what the Drunken Party bus is, it is a GR75 with a bright hook title and torn far, and whatever else you want to put on it. Right. But it has. It started by surviving a salvo from an Executor 2, close range, and did not die. With rerolls, I had leading shots on that Executor 2, and I had 4 rerolls. Did not get an accuracy out of, I think I was rolling 11 dice.
Yeah, it was an insane amount.
With rerolls and no accuracies, and it lived. And the legend started, and it's just been going on from there. So.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Beaker, for that question.
Thanks, Beaker.
And also, just fair warning, this is probably gonna be a long video. We got a lot of questions, and Rob and I like to talk. So.
Yes, we both like to chase rabbits.
Yes. So bear with me. All right. So next we have Franz Odendahl. What is your and Social General Rob's Armada storage solutions at home when they are not out on the table shooting at each other? So Rob's gonna go. I'm gonna have Rob give his first, and it's. I'll just he gave me some pictures, so you guys will see some pictures coming up on the screen, so you can actually see Rob's how Rob stores his ships and his burgeoning fleet, his burgeoning collection.
So, as you may know, I have the Clone Wars, the CIS versions, and I'm just starting collecting because the bug bit me. Thanks to Ben.
Yeah, but up to this point, everyone's just used my stuff, but now Rob's like, oh, I want to get into it.
Yeah, I want to get into it.
I have my own stuff.
The new sets came out, so I thought, why not? We'll start from Ranger. But the place I store them at home is on my bookshelf, actually, which you'll see in a picture in a minute. And I also have my cards in a binder, the tokens and defense and all that stuff, in some hobby cases. I'm not sure exactly what they're
Tackle boxes?
Tackle box
Or
type
like arts and craft box. Those are fantastic for any storage. We use them for all of our
games.
All board games we play, we use tackle boxes to store stuff. It's fantastic.
Yeah, great
for organizing.
And then I have a binder that I actually saw Ben use. And I thought, hey Ben, where'd you get that binder? I wouldn't mind getting one too. And he told me, and then I got one, and yeah, got some sleeve cards and put them inside the sleeves. Binder.
Best way to organize cards is getting a binder. And you basically just use like for the baseball card pages.
Yeah.
If you guys, and I don't even know that's a thing anymore.
Okay.
You used to be able to collect baseball cards for
Yes.
those youngsters of you that that's not even a thing anymore.
Back in my day.
Back in the old days. You know.
Back before Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
I remember those old days.
That's actually probably people who do it the most is Magic Gathering
Yes.
players. They use binders with those baseball cards to use.
Right.
So I use that's actually where I got my idea from, is because Magic is played a lot around here.
Right.
Especially at the game stores I play at, and I saw them using that, and I thought it would be a good idea to use for Armada. So.
Now for a transport case, Ben has one. He actually needs it. I'm sure he'll explain that in a moment, but I do not have one yet because I'm waiting till all the current CIS ships get out, and then I will start looking, because if I get a case now, it might not fit the ships for whatever reason, whether it's the size of ships or whether it's how many I will need to have or whatnot. So I'm just going to wait. So it'll probably be maybe and depending on the shipping, of course, what's going on, it might be close to December-ish before I get one. And we're not going to, I'm not going to stores currently at the moment, so it's not like I need to carry one around. So
you don't need the transport options yet.
Not yet, so I'm going to hold off on that one personally, but that's how I store them.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to equivocate on this one, because I've actually had some people ask me in the past what my storage and travel and all that stuff is, how I do everything with all my Armada stuff. And I'm going to create a separate video for that.
Okay.
It's probably not going to come out the week this video drops, but the next week after this video drops, I should be able to have that filmed. Because it's going to take I want to actually take videos of it, because once you see it, it's a pretty involved system that I have. And just a preview, if you guys want to go look it up, the primary thing I use is battle foam. I love battle foam. Battle foam is expensive, but you get what you pay for. It's very high quality. The cases and the foam itself are very high quality. And I have the Nimitz hard case, so if you guys want to look that up, it's the most ostentatious thing. I was not expecting when it came in how big it was going to be, but it actually is perfect for what I need it for. But I'll be making another video that is going to be more specific and just show you guys how everything's organized and laid out, but that'll be in a future video.
When he comes to my place, people think he might be moving in.
Yeah.
Because that's how big it is. It's like a suitcase in a way.
Yeah.
You'll see.
All right. So thank you, Franz.
Thank you, Franz.
All right, next we have Matt Soms, and just a quick shout out to Matt Soms for congratulations for winning the April giveaway.
Congratulations.
If you have not seen the announcement video yet, that came out on Saturday, and be sure to check that out so you guys can see the announcement about the new giveaway for May. So Matt asks, for both, of any of the proposed Star Wars content expected to be released in the near future, which, if any, are you looking forward to consuming, and how could they bring that content to Armada? You want to start us off there, Rob?
Yeah, that was a good one, Mark. Very good one. I'll say I want to see. That's like whole near future. Wow, because Disney's got a lot coming out. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say definitely it's going to be all of them. I'm going to suck them all in.
Yeah.
But the really ones, I mean, I'm hooked on Mandalorian. I'm just hooked.
Yeah.
I want to see Ahsoka, of course, because that's just going to be fantastic. But another one is Bad Batch. Now, when was it Clone Wars or Rebels that came out?
Clone Wars.
Clone Wars. Okay. at the end that they came out, and I just fell in love with the Bad Batch. I love the clones. Okay, they're probably out of all of them my favorites, clones. But the Bad Batch were even one step better, which is hard to say over Rex. Trust me. But I think Rex with the Bad Batch is awesome.
Right?
It's like Dream Team for me. But yeah, it would be the Bad Batch would be a number one-ish, we'll say, because Mandalorian has become a favorite, and of course Ahsoka, and so yeah, those three are the main ones, and I can already guess what Ben's is going to be next, but we'll let him explain that one.
Yeah, well, it's definitely going to be Ahsoka. I'm really looking forward to Ahsoka, and specifically because. So, combination for, and again, for those that you have not seen Mandalorian, especially season 2, spoilers.
Yeah.
Stop this video and go watch it. If you have, what's wrong with you if not watched Mandalorian yet?
Right.
So, we know that we've got a Mandalorian season 3 coming, Ahsoka, Rangers of the Republic, that they've already said it's going to be culminated in like a short mini-series, kind of like they did with the Defenders in the Netflix series, bringing them all together for the Marvel's Netflix shows. And the main antagonist is going to be Grand Admiral Thrawn. He was name dropped in Ahsoka's episode in Mandalorian season 2. And I am so excited to see Grand Admiral Thrawn brought to live action finally. And I am also very excited. A lot of my friends, like my Academy buddies, have talked about this quite a bit. My brother-in-law Zach will talk about this. We think that they're going to be doing a modified version of Heir to the Empire. So
Interesting.
Just based on how, I mean, obviously it's not going to be exactly the same.
No.
But we just have a feeling, based on just some clues and stuff, that, for those that don't know about Heir to the Empire, it's probably the best book/series in all of Star Wars. Came out in the early 90s. Yeah. It's what the sequel trilogy should have been.
Yes.
Was the Heir to the Empire trilogy. And we think they're finally going to, I think they're going to do a modified, their own version of Heir to the Empire, with the 3 shows in that timeline, which is going to be Rangers, Ahsoka, Mandalorian, and then the culmination mini-series that's going to bring it all together, and Thrawn's going to be the big bad guy. Although, he's not a bad guy. But that's a whole other video when I talk about Thrawn and his, so that's a whole other thing. I might make another video just talking about the lore of Thrawn. That could be a video Albert and I could do, the lore series. Yeah. That's what I'm really looking forward to, and then also an honorable mention, which is also up there. I love Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I cannot wait for the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
Actually, I thought that was going to be his number 1 thing.
Yeah. You can say it's tied for 1. Yeah. Because I love Obi-Wan Kenobi. I love Ian McGregor and his portrayal of Obi-Wan.
Yes.
So I'm really, really looking forward to that. I've been looking forward to that ever since they announced it a couple years ago now. So definitely, there's lots of Star Wars content. I'm happy for it, and looking forward to seeing all of it. So. All right, so we have Northern Hero.
Oh wait, you got second part of Mark's.
Oh, right, yeah. How could they? Or his name's Matt, by the way.
Matt.
Yeah.
See, we're both messing up.
So
foxholes.
Yeah. So how could they bring that content to Armada? Well, so I'm really hoping that one thing that this is one of the things that I'm kind of hoping that they're doing in Heir to the Empire thing is maybe bringing back some of the EU ships that got cut out.
Yes.
So this was asked in the last AMA, but I'll just reiterate it again. I would love to see, the Nebula class Star Destroyer or the New Republic.
That's a beautiful ship. Yes.
I would love to see some of the Imperial Remnant stuff. I mean, this is wishful thinking. I don't think we'll ever see the Paleon class Star Destroyer, but what we could see is some Chiss Ascendancy ships.
I would like to see that.
Yeah, if they do the Empire of the Hand with Thrawn, and Chiss Ascendancy ships, and then the ships that Thrawn developed that melded Chiss technology with Imperial technology. And I would love to not only see that in the shows, I would love to see that in Armada. I would love to actually just see create a new faction in a couple years. The Chiss Ascendancy or Empire of the Hand actually would be the one to make most sense, I think, which would be Chiss Empire combined. And just since you want to have 2 factions released at the same time, the Mandalorians. So I don't know if you guys are. I'll see if I can find some pictures to put up if you guys aren't familiar. Mandalorian ships look awesome. I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Mandalorian battle cruisers and assault ships.
Yeah.
They look great, and I think they look amazing on the tabletop. So with us expanding more of Mandalorian, like Mandalorian season 3, again, spoilers if you haven't seen it. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Bo-Katan and Din Djarin trying to take back Mandalore.
Right.
And I would be stoked. I really hope they actually show like some Mandalorian battle cruisers in the fight to take it back that Bo-Katan's been able to get her hands on. So I would love to see Empire, the Hand faction, and the Mandalorian faction, to see some of those ships brought to the table in the next couple years. For after the Clone Wars is kind of they expended all that, that could be the next big release. 2 new factions.
Yeah.
So let me know what you guys think. What you guys would like to see from that. If they would release 2 new factions.
Well, for me, I think that it's going to be. I think we're going to see. Yes, it's been destroyed, but Mando's Razor Crest. I'm not sure where it's going to be put, but I think
they got to bring it in.
Yeah, they have to. I mean, it's a classic ship, and actually, it's a classic. I'm not sure if it's a classic Imperial or it's a classic Mandalorian. I think it's Imperial. I think it might be a troll ship for the Imperials. But I think if they put strategic and intel on it, which is interesting because if you look at Mandalorian, he's always transporting, going around and like transporting baby Yoda, transporting him around and kind of getting out of things and moving stuff around. So I think the intel and the strategic would be really cool to put on him.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is I think we're going to have the new Xwings, which is I think the T series. Is the T-Wings? Is it,
are you talking about from the sequel trilogy?
Right, from Mandalorian. It's actually the new number one, I believe.
Well, so those X-Wings are the classic. Those are the T-65s.
Okay.
From original trilogy.
All right. So
yep. Okay. But so the ones from sequel trilogy are, I think, T-80? I forget what the designation is, but basically they're advanced X-Wings.
Right.
So we might see those in Armada. They have an X-Wing. They're in X-Wing, so I wouldn't be surprised, and I actually wouldn't mind if they actually came out with another, like a Rebel and Imperial squad pack that would have like the Razor Crest, maybe the advanced X-Wings, maybe like the K-Wings.
K-Wings,
There's a couple, I forget, there's like a really, really heavy Imperial bomber. Can't remember the name of it.
No.
It's 4 cylinders. Stacked up. It's 2 and then 2 underneath. It's really big. Yeah, can't remember what it's called. But
going back to the Mandalorian and talking about the Imperial, the Outrider TIE Fighter. That's the one you see Gideon against. But
more advanced TIE that can land on planets.
But they were actually used after the Galactic Empire kind of fell.
Yeah.
So they could bring them into here, and I think that would be cool. But not only that would be the just looking real quick, the Dark Troopers, and I think they could use as a boarding party, or like the Rocket Troopers for CIS as a card for an upgrade.
Yeah,
and that would be just a really
nasty. Get Dark Troopers as a boarding party.
Yeah,
or just as a permanent, like the Rocket Troopers on offensive retrofit. Dark Troopers doing it. Oh man, that would be nasty.
Yeah, that was some of the things that I was talking
about. And I just thought of something that you said that we really, and I cannot believe they have not done it yet. We need a Luke Commander card. Or a Luke something card as a Jedi. We have Luke in his X-Wing when he was young, he didn't know anything and blew up the Death Star.
I don't think he was ever a commander.
We need a Luke, he could be like an officer.
Officer, yeah.
Like a Luke officer card or something, or like a Darth Vader boarding team, but it's a Luke boarding team.
That would be good.
I cannot believe we've not seen a Luke Jedi version yet. So, lots of opportunities to expand the Galactic Civil War stuff.
Well, both of them.
Yeah. All right, I think that is everything for Night Psalms. All right, so now we have Northern Hero. Where does Social General Rob's nickname come from, and what are your guys' favorite missions to play? So, I've actually asked in a couple videos for stuff if someone could figure out, but since we haven't had anybody figure it out yet, we'll just go ahead and give it. And Rob, if you want to go, since it's your title, I'll let you do the explanation.
Well, thank you very much. Social General comes from a game, another board game, more of a miniature war game called BattleTech.
Right.
And inside that game, I play a faction called the Lyrian Alliance, led by the House Steiner. And, okay, this might sound bad at first. It's kind of an inside joke for all of us, but our gaming group. But in there they have what's called a social general. That's where the affluent families basically buy their kids, well, or the people who are going into the military, their own relatives, basically general. They buy them the general title, and they're given the general title. Well, it is bad at times. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. It's like feudal. This is like feudalism in space in the future is what BattleTech is.
Yes.
And the Lyran Commonwealth is like he says. It's you don't gain these high-ranking titles through merit.
Some do.
Some do, but most of them is through either inherited or purchased by your family.
So they have the social general.
Yeah.
So that began, and then when we would do our tournaments, we would each write up a little, we have a Facebook group and stuff like that for that, and we write up a little narrative about here come the troops are coming in, they're going to fight on this battlefield, and my social general, I had one, her name was Trista, she would jump in and say, hey, now, typical, she didn't know what you're saying, basically, and be talking about how wonderful this is, and all that, and we're going to be dominating the world, and all that. And then, of course, the general, which was called General Harrison, we all had our last names as the generals of our actual troops. He'd be just looking at her like, whatever, lady, whatever, because he was he actually worked the ranks. But not only that, I'm also, for my job, I'm a social media coordinator. And also, with our group, I helped out our main, the guy who usually organizes all the groups. He was getting busy at work. And so I helped him out and kind of organize the group. And then there's a combination how the social general came around. But it mainly comes from BattleTech, the help BattleTech. And
for those that are interested, we all kind of have our little ranks we gave ourselves when we play BattleTech with our. And mine is Star Colonel because I play Clan Wolf. The clans are a separate faction that have invaded the primary part of the galaxy, and they have advanced technology, so we're considered cheaters because we're actually smart and knew how to actually. But anyway, that's a whole other thing.
That's another rabbit hole.
That's another rabbit hole. So I'll just stop it there. So, all right. And then, what are our favorite missions to play?
I really like on the assault side, surprise attack. I think that's a powerful one. It's on my list, anyways.
If we ever play it, though, it's like no one ever wants to pick that one.
No,
it's probably one of the worst ones for the first player.
Yeah,
that's such a massive disadvantage.
I don't know if anybody ever takes. You take your command ship and put it way out in the middle. Well, not way out, but put out far, and then your other ships. I think they're all going speed ones too. And so the other ships have to catch up. Now, the only time I think Ben would take it if I was on my list, he was running SSD. Because he'd be like, sure, there you go. My two Gazantis in the back, sure, no problem.
The main problem, that's a problem with surprise attack, is your flagship having to be so far up. But also, the second part of that is that as second player, you get to pick 3 commands.
Right.
And reveal them. They have to be in order. When you reveal it, the opponent. I'm paraphrasing because I don't have the mission in front of me, but the opponent can't do that command that round.
Correct.
See, more than a raid. Yeah. Like I don't think they get raids. It's just you cannot do that command. So it's like first round, navigate. You cannot play navigate. Second round, squadron. You cannot do squadron. So the first 3 rounds, it's just super hamstringing the first player. It's one of those I just can't imagine the first player ever picking that over a yellow or blue mission. Unless it's like one of those. Let's just try it. Let's try it out. Surprise attack.
Yeah, unless you're using SSD. I think that's the only thing you have.
Yeah, because that way, then you can just put the SSD right in someone's face and just start turn one and blasting him.
Yeah, so, so what? Okay. My Gazantis will scratch up a little bit later. Yeah. No big deal. My fighters, no big deal. I don't know if you have fighters anymore. My defense one, I like asteroid tactics. I just like that one. It's an interesting one. Everybody has, and you have to worry about the Xwings. You have to worry about. Well, the second player doesn't have to worry about landing on obstacles, and obstacles is my main problem. One of my main problems I've been working over for years. But so the second player, I like it. That doesn't affect it.
Mm-hmm.
But you get your defense tokens back as well. What's those things? Scatters. You do not get scatter ones back. So that's very helpful for both sides, though. It's not just for the second player; it's for both sides. I think I'm getting that one right.
Mm-hmm.
Or that could be the.
I think it's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And the last one is minefields for navigation. I like that. I really wish there was a minefield ship, or mine layer ship, I should say, that just laid mines out. I think that would be fun, to be honest.
Yep. You sort of have one in. She's on the YT-2400, but it's not Dash Radar.
No.
I can't remember her name, but she can, instead of moving, you can activate her and lay a mine.
Yeah,
but it's not like a mine laying ship, but
no.
It's a sort of way to do it. But yeah, to have a mine layer ship would be kind of cool.
Yeah, just some, I don't know, this would be kind of cool. But those are my picks right there. I mean, we could go with some mutual ones. I guess Contested Outpost was one that you and I mentioned in the very beginning, for two people to learn on.
It's an easy one to learn, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good balance one to learn off of. Obviously, Superior Positions is probably the simplest one, easy one to learn. As far as favorite missions, some missions are really good strategically that you like to pick all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I like missions that are more complicated, that have more things going on. Like Asteroid Texas is a good one because you actually have the Exogorths, the space ones.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Rift Assault because you actually have the gravitational rift, so it just changes it up.
We have not played that one.
We have not played that one. There's a couple Purgle ones that I think are kind of cool. I also enjoy, because I played it once, I tried it out with just like a Lambda list, and it was a token one where you play, like, it was, I think it was one of the comms ones, one of the blue ones, where you,
Intel Suite?
maybe Intel Suite,
yeah,
and you can do token play with strategic. So those ones I like to play the best because they're interesting.
Yeah.
But as far as like missions that I would pick, on a regular basis, if I was like building a fleet and I wanted to be competitive,
right.
I would usually play Advanced Gunnery because I'm playing a Star Destroyer. It will never be picked, but it basically moves on to other missions. I'll probably do Solar Corona because being able to see your deploy first, and then deploy, and have the advantage of negating accuracies, which is why I picked that over Superior Positions. And the yellow one would be like my wild card where I can flip it up. Probably my favorite is a Fleet Ambush. I like Fleet Ambush because that forces your opponent to deploy close to you, so you can engage them right away.
Right.
Of course, that could also backfire.
Right.
So it really depends on, it could be a bad thing depending on the fleet you face off, but I like the idea of Fleet Ambush and Hyperspace Assault because I like the idea of shit coming out of hyperspace in a surprise attack. I just like the concept of that.
So, I used to.
Until I did it against you.
I had it on my list, and he said, yeah, let's do it. It was versus one of CS, CIS.
Yeah, I was playing Republic,
Acclimator.
and you were playing the CIS.
Yeah.
And I hyperspaced in an Acclimator and one-shotted Wat Tambor's Munificent. It had a flight commander, and it had rapid launch rate, so I could drop the fighters and then shoot.
Dropped Anakin, he dropped Ahsoka.
Yeah, it was pretty devastating. I was not expecting it to be that devastating. So
it was amazing Alpha Strike. It really was.
So a lot of missions, and I will say this, kind of, those are all like the standard missions. My favorite missions are the campaign missions. If you guys have not played any of the campaigns, they're really fun. Rebellion in the Rim is really fun. It's better than Caroline, I think. But their missions, they're the green missions that come in those packs, specifically only for the campaign. They're very thematic, very different from the standard missions, and those are my favorite. I like the really thematic, campaign-oriented missions that come in the campaigns. So those are by far my favorite.
So.
But you don't hardly see him because you have to play the campaign.
Yeah.
But
Hopefully one day we will again.
Yep.
So.
Yep. All right. So next we have Joe Askew. With only a few tournaments because of COVID, and with the new ships of the CIS and the Republic factions coming into their own now, what do you think the emergent meta will be like? So, this might be a little challenging for Rob and I because we don't play competitively.
No.
And I've only played competitively once, and we're more casual players and narrative players. But I think we can try to theory craft a little bit what we think the meta might shift towards with all the new ships in and how it compares with Galactic Civil War and all that stuff. So, I want you to give me your thoughts first there, Rob.
All right. Well, I think Squadrons, Raids, and Boarding Party, Rods, Raids, and Token Shenanigans, as Ben likes to call, will be the new, one of the new metas, or be the new meta. When people see the CIS use these abilities, they're going to use it in the GAR, okay? And boarding parties don't get used as much. They are very, very powerful. Ben does do the tokens. He loves token play. I mean, he'll make up a fleet just to play with tokens. And they can be devastating. So if a raid, like for instance, if I used a raid or squadron token, not token, but things against him, I could mess up his plan. But his token plays can also do the same to me. They do often, actually, if you watch this channel. So I think that's going to be the main meta I can see right now. Make sure I don't have anything else in my notes real quick. No, it's going to be raids, boarding parties, and I think token shenanigans more. So
I agree on the raid. Raids were, when they first came out, hardly saw them at all. But especially with the CIS, raids are becoming. There's a lot of stuff that the droids can do to raid you.
Right.
And you combine that with things like, Jedi Hostage, which I know is a double-edged sword, which you guys might have seen. But more importantly, if you do Dooku with the rocket droids, you can really, really mess up someone's game.
Yes, you can.
Especially if they're really relying on those squad commands because you're playing a squad heavy list.
Right.
You use Dooku to raid them, and then you attack them with your rocket droids at close range. Give them, it's just, you can really shut down someone's game plan if they're not prepared to counter a lot of raiding, and it can really force your opponent to have to change up their game plan. So I think that's one area we're going to see the meta going is, like Rob said, token play, but specifically raids to mess up people's game plans. And I think, I'm not sure where the meta was.
I don't know. Again,
but I don't know if this ever went away or if it's local, but I think squadrons are still going to be strong.
Oh yeah.
I know there was a time when, like, I think early on squads fell up and people did like multiple small ships, like Rebels were playing a lot of like 5-6 ship lists.
And they're all aces or something like that.
Well, that was before that, I think.
Oh, okay.
But it shifted when I sort of was paying attention, like to YouTube videos. But then you had like a whole bunch of Rebel aces, where it's like 6 aces or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't do that anymore. But you still have 4. I still think you're going to see squadrons. I don't know if you're going to see super heavy squad lists in the meta, but I think it'll be rare to see a tournament list that does not have squadrons.
Yeah, I think you need it no matter what.
I think you need to have a minimum of something to counter an enemy squad heavy list, because enemy bombers can be so devastating. Arcs,
love it.
and are going to be devastating. Hyena bombers are going to be devastating. And if you're not prepared to at least defend against that with throw squads out there just to slow them down, you can get shredded.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know if this is the proper term to call it a meta, but I think a meta is going to be that everyone's going to have a minimum, let me say 2-3 squads on the list of every minimum, just to lock down, just to slow down a squad heavy list you might see on the other side of the table, just to give yourself some breathing room for a turn or two.
Right.
So I think minimum squads is going to be a meta, where everyone has to bring some squads just to counter heavy bomber lists coming in, because the bombers in the Black Civil War are strong. They've always been strong, but the bombers in the Clone Wars factions are really strong.
Yep.
And with the ability to modify a heavy squadron, like strong squadron commanders for the Republic, strong squadron commander, at least just for Grievous, I mean, just the swarm of vultures, just to help fuel the rest of your fleet. I think we're going to be seeing squadrons be a big part, and you're going to want to bring at least some to counter, so just to defend yourself.
And I think that also might have been what, when they were trying to think of what they could do next, was they like, we need to bring in more raids. The people aren't using the raids. People aren't using the fighters as much.
Oh, they definitely, yeah, and same thing with tokens.
Yeah, tokens. So, let's do it. But then they would have to rewrite GR all over, I think. I mean, if they did it what CIS did. So I think that's another reason why they created CIS, is because that way they can say, okay, it's a new faction. This is how they work, and it's not rewriting everything else that you guys already have out there.
Yeah, they're totally.
I think that's another way they did it. That's all. I think it was great.
Yeah, it's interesting how they each have a flavor.
Yeah.
The Separatists have a really good flavor when it comes to like raiding and stuff, and some token play.
Yep, that's
well, not some, but complicated. But the Republic has really complicated token play.
Oh yeah.
All the clone officer stuff. There's about token here to there, and then fighting there, and it's just yeah. So I think they're interesting flavors like that. So. Let me know what you guys think, especially those of you guys that play competitively more often.
Yeah.
Whether it's online or if it's you've played it in the past, so you guys think the meta is going to go to. You guys will know better than us since we don't really play competitively. So, all right, we have Ahsoka herself, Ahsoka Tano. So happy that the Togruta Jedi has decided to grace us with her presence. Yes. So. What are your predictions for future Clone Wars Squadrons? Also, which Star Wars movie is your favorite, and who is your favorite Star Wars character?
Okay, well, I'll start. I think the following squadrons out there. I had to dig a little bit, but because I couldn't remember their names. But I think the Naboo fighters, the N1s.
Oh yeah.
From the very, very first.
I'm surprised I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I thought they would be in the first release. They're called ETA-2s, and as light interceptors, and that's what Yoda flew.
Well, that's Anakin and Obi-Wan at the start of episode 3.
Yeah,
and Yoda did too.
So they might be able to see Yoda. Who knows? Now I know, and I might have the number wrong, but Z95 headhunters were back then as well.
Yeah, well, that's when they were brand new.
Right.
I would be shocked if we don't see a Z95 Galactic Republic version.
So they might cross that. Who knows?
They did with the Y-Wings.
Yeah.
But they did that with the Y-Wings, where they have the Republic version of Y-Wings.
Yep.
So I'd be surprised if they didn't do that with the Z95.
Yeah, I mean that's the V-Wings. Now the V-Wings are more of they escorted the Jedi, usually. So they were more like escorts, so they might be kind of like an A-wingish ship.
Well, they might actually have escort.
Right.
Well, so escort, not a name.
So that way your Jedi are protected. And then, of course, I think this is probably going to be a lot of people's favorite here. Fen Ral's Fang fighters from Skull Squadron. I think that will, and you mentioned that earlier with the Mandalorians. I think that's going to be out there somewhere. I think it should be out there because those Skull Squadron guys are going to be great. That's the Mandalorians in there because it just fits. Did you want to go with the fighters next?
So you covered almost all of it.
Sorry.
A gentleman, I should have gotten his name. When we were talking about there's a card that gives adept.
Yes.
And it can be used by CIS or the Republic, but right now, or it utilizes adept.
Right, but we don't know how.
But CIS doesn't have adept yet, and we thought maybe Dooku might be Squadron in the future. But he brought up some suggestions that made sense for like a good mercenary pack, like they have for the Galactic Republic. Merc Pack would do it for like Civil War, and that's where you could have Maul. You could also have Savage,
Yes.
which is Maul's brother. You could have Asajj Ventress, of course.
Oh yes.
You have Cad Bane. You have Jango Fett.
Yep.
So yeah, there's quite a few good squadrons you do for mercenary play, as well to introduce mercenaries into the Clone Wars factions. So I think we'll see some of those.
Oh, definitely. That makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many people that are missing.
Yeah.
And right now, we're only seeing some aces. We're not seeing that many.
Yeah.
Or 4.
I think we're gonna see. I think we'll see like a Merc Pack, and I think they're definitely gonna release a version 2 pack like they had for the Empire and the Rebels for sure.
Definitely.
Favorite Star Wars movie?
Well, mine goes way back, and I think I've said this a million times in all of our videos, is Star Wars A New Hope. That was the first one I saw, and I can still remember being 7 years old, 6, I'm sorry, and I can still see the Star Destroyer coming over the top of the screen and just being wild, like, wow, as it's chasing down Leia's CR-90, and I'm like, CR-90 was a nice size ship. I thought, okay, I'm a kid in movies and stuff. But when you see that Star Destroyer coming out of the top of that screen and just keeps on going and going and going.
If you watch Spaceballs, it keeps going.
Yes.
For another 10 minutes.
Yeah, you might as well get up and make something to drink. But no, that is my favorite movie. I just love all the characters in that movie. I love how they did things. I just thought it was a new thing, a new take. And yes, there are several movies after it, like Empire Strikes Back is another one that I do like. And Rogue One. I think they'll be my top 3, to be honest. They're my top 3.
Yeah, well, Rogue One is my favorite. Mm-hmm. And every time I watch it, I like it even more. And I love how there are real stakes. What I mean by real stakes is that, obviously, in the original trilogy, you have to go to the Death Star twice. There's some big stakes there, but you never really feel that any of the heroes are gonna die.
No.
They're gonna. It's a fun movie.
Right.
They're fun movies.
Exactly.
You're gonna go watch a fun movie, and they're gonna survive.
Good. It's always good. Yeah.
And the prequel trilogy, Obi-Wan's not gonna die, and what's already gonna happen to Anakin. With Rogue One, real stakes, and the sacrifice.
Yeah. I think the only thing you knew was gonna happen was the plans were gonna get out.
You knew that they were gonna get the plans because obviously they got the plans.
Right.
When I first saw it, I was like, wow, they killed everybody.
Yeah, they did.
And the thing is, the movie did such a good job in just one movie, like half a movie, making you care about these characters you never heard about before, and you cared when they died.
Yeah.
And for a movie to be able to do that in just one movie, to where you care about these characters, you're investing in these characters brand new to a franchise, and then you feel it when they sacrifice themselves for the superior rebel cause. It's just such and then of course
awful.
And then of course the ending battle. I mean, I think it's the best battle sequence, and it's right up there with, I think it's better than Endor, but barely. Like Endor is also that, and Endor, just as far as space battle sequence, is so fun, well done. And every time I watch Rogue One, I can't just stop. I watch Rogue One, and as soon as the credits roll, I put on A New Hope, because you can really basically go Rogue One directly into A New Hope. It's exactly an immediate transition. So I do it every time I watch it now. I watch those both back to back every time I watch it. So.
They did such a fantastic job with that. They did. What I also liked about Rogue One was they actually showed rebels being rebels. Okay?
They're
not like, okay, let's prance around. Oh, I will save Johnny Doe over here, get a cat out of the tree or something like that. Whatever. No. And then the Empire's this big evil brute, They show it like as if, okay, the soldiers on the ground, they're like, okay, we're going to do this for the cause, and that's both sides.
Yeah, it was when it was promoted before it came out, like those trailers was, we were talking about, it's a war movie.
Yeah,
showing the actual Galactic War as a war movie, not as, again, the original Star Wars was made. George Lucas has said he wanted them to be like for kids, fun movies, adventure movies. What I like about Rogue One is that it actually showed you on the ground. What it would have really been like. This isn't, there's not going to be a happy ending we're going out here. It'd be like watching a World War II movie, but
Yeah,
Star
exactly.
Wars is what it was.
Right.
So that's one of the really things I liked about it.
Yeah, so that's another big one. Yeah.
All right, and the last part. Who is your favorite Star Wars character? Rob?
So my favorite Star Wars character is someone I actually have not played Armada, and that is Han Solo. I really like Han Solo. I'm not a Jedi fan. I'm not a Sith fan. Okay, except the Vader. I mean, I do like Vader. Don't get me wrong. But if I had to, he's the guy I would want to be honest. Han Solo, just love that mercenary, love the pirate, love the gambler, love, all that stuff. That's the kind of I like those guys. Those are my favorite. He brought a lot to the movie, I think. About saying, why would you use a sword, kid? Use a blaster, So, yeah, that was my favorite character overall.
So my favorite character, Star Wars, is Revan. He's my number one favorite. Grand Admiral Thrawn's close second. For everybody that might be shocked, what, it's not Thrawn? No, Revan is my favorite character of all time in Star Wars. And those not familiar with Revan, he's from what I think is the best Star Wars game ever made, Knights of the Old Republic. And I'm just going to make massive spoilers. If you've not played KOTOR and you care about the storyline, there is a huge twist in that movie, or in that game, that I'm about to reveal. So, spoilers, we don't want to know, and I'll put it on the screen where you can start, put the volume down. So, you start off, it's such a great storyline. You start off as the game as Revan, but you don't know that you're Revan. You're playing just a character who's lost his memory, and it's revealed halfway through the game that you are Revan. And Revan at this point in the history of, this is 4,000 years by the way, before Battle of the Heaven, is Darth Revan. He was a Jedi that led Republic forces to go stop the Mandalorians who had risen up and were invading the Republic, beat the crap out of the Mandalorians, and turned to the dark side and invaded the Republic himself. And in the game, you find out that you're Revan. When you get your memory back, you're like, holy crap. And then you have the choice, you can either be good, or you can go back to being Darth Revan. There's things that happen after the game in the lore, that Revan goes off to try to find the ancient Sith Empire, try to put a stop to it. And I just love the whole storyline of Revan, and the storyline of the game. And I'm really stoked that, I guess it's almost confirmed now, it's not quite confirmed, they're actually doing a remake of KOTOR.
Really?
Which I am like, I actually just recently played a couple weeks ago. I re-downloaded Knights of the Old Republic because I felt nostalgic. Spent about 6 hours with mods trying to get the game to actually look halfway deep, because it's an 18-year-old game, so it's definitely aged. But once I got all the mods installed, it still holds up. The story still holds up. The writing still holds up, and it's still. I mean, Revan still has one of the most badass costumes.
Yes.
I love his outfit, but again, I just love his storyline from start to finish. And anyway, if you guys are not familiar with Revan, it's tough to play KOTOR right now because it's such an old game. It takes a lot to get to work. But I will recommend you guys can look up the story of Revan if you're not familiar, or just wait till they do the remake if the remake is true. So, all right. Well, Ahsoka, thank you for those questions. And we're going to take a real quick break because I want to check the camera to make sure that it's still recording. I hope we haven't just been talking to a blank phone.
Yeah, for all we know.
And then just to, and we'll be back here for you guys in a couple seconds. Okay, and we're back. So, next we have Mark Salmon. So first we have a question for Social General Rob. What kind of builds would you recommend for a Rebel fighter list?
Okay, Mark. You almost got me to spill the beans to Ben, because I'm creating a list about a month or two, so I can't tell you yet. And I don't want Ben to find out. I'm trying my best to go through the whole entire list, and I mean from ship to squadrons and all the upgrades, to figure out which one I want to do. You have seen me play with the Xwings, which I think are fantastic. So it should be in there, the list. Anyways, it's for Fraternal Squadrons anyway. because they are a great defensive ships.
Yeah.
They're
very good anti-squad squads.
Very good anti-squads because they can get up there, especially at Shara. Yeah, he's probably gonna be aiming all the squads at
Nothing beats Shara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's probably gonna focusing on her. So Xwings, I try to normally get in there. Now I remember Ben when we first started playing. He gave me, I think it was, I'm gonna go look at. It was Hera, Wedge, Dutch, and maybe Han was in there. I'm not quite sure if Han was in there.
It was just keep it simple.
Right.
Because I wasn't used to doing squads.
Oh.
And Hurricane was able to give Wedge and Dutch Rogue, and Han obviously is Rogue because he knew Han.
Right.
So it was just some easy stuff to try out just to get a feel for.
And then he asked me like, what do you like, Squadrons? And I said, I always like the Y-Wings. And so he put those in there. That's of course when I started learning about Squadrons. Like, wait, what? I gotta use them how? So, but just first of all, the first three, Hera, Dutch, and Wedge. You put those three together, right there is going to be a really strong fighter group. Because Dutch just has to hit them once, and Wedge can clean it up. And then Hera moves them around. And if Wedge doesn't get a chance to clean them all up, let's say it's a 7-hull ship, a fighter, I mean, then Hera can come in and take out the rest.
She's no slouch. No. She's got a good dice pool.
And they all move the same speed, so that's all good.
Stay together.
But, so those three are probably, if you're getting somebody that's getting into it, I would definitely do those three. Definitely.
Yeah, it's a very good beginner list for Rebel, right. just to get a feel for moving the squads around and not having to worry about squad commands.
But don't worry, when the list is on the table, I will let you know.
Well, I'm intrigued now.
You should be. I've been studying this for one month now.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so this one's for me, from Mark Salmon. What do you think of the Republic Venators, and how would you run them, specifically the Mark II? So I really love the Venators. You know, they're the Star Destroyer precursors, the progenitors of the Star Destroyer. So that's one of the reasons I like them. Mm-hmm. And I love the Mark II because it is a carrier.
Right.
Like a super carrier. You can get 5 base squads you can move around.
Base.
And and that's probably what I might actually invest in if and when I decide to start doing Clone Wars stuff. I'm probably not going to get a core set. I'll probably buy 2 Venators, a couple squad packs, and maybe a Pelta for fleet support.
UBC.
And that would probably be all I ever get. And just proxy cards that then come in those that I need to use, or borrow Rob's cards or whatever.
Right.
So, but when I do go Clone Wars, the only thing I'm going to get is Venators probably. So, I love the Venator too, and I actually put together a potential list.
Oh, you did?
Yep. So, this is a 400-point list with 2 Venators, and unfortunately we won't be able to run this on the channel anytime soon because we don't have nearly enough squads to run.
Oh.
But maybe in the future we might have enough squads to do this. But this is like a theory craft, and I would like to know what you guys think about this. So it's you're actually kind of close to this when you're talking about what you might do.
Oh, good.
So
I am learning, guys.
The flagship is a Venator 2. Your commander is Admiral Yularen.
Mm-hmm.
You have flight controllers, expanded hangar bay, advanced projectors for maximum defense, linked turbolaser towers, and the Resolute title. Now, as this flagship here, you're going to be able to move reliably for 3 turns guaranteed, 8 squads. So you start with 5 from the base. Expanded hangar bay goes to 6. Admiral Yularen, when you spend a squad token, you get an additional squad. So you get token plus Yularen, so you get 8. The Resolute title lets you pick 4 of any number of tokens on the side of its title. You have to have at least 2, so you can't just go all 4 squad tokens.
Okay.
So you choose 3 squad tokens and 1 engineering token. Mm-hmm. And you use the engineering token for healing the ship. Because that's another part of Yularen is healing squads. So you basically have the Venator 2 as your pure capital ship carrier, moving all your squads. Then you have the Venator 1 as your battle escort, like your battleship.
Right.
The Venator 1 has ordnance experts. All fighters follow me because it has the fleet command. And you'll see why you want that. Flat guns
Okay.
for maximum salvo and anti-squad potential.
Mm-hmm.
Assault proton torpedoes. And linked turbo laser towers with the Triumphant title. The Triumphant title is basically what's the word? Relay. For a ship.
Yep.
It lets you activate 3 squads within range of it. So you're not running squad commands with Venator 1, you're running them off the Venator 2, but you can have squads near the Venator 1 that are activated by Venator 2.
So you send in the Venator 1.
With squadron.
Yeah, right, and your Venator 2's back further.
Yep.
And even if you don't have boosted comms and all that jazz, you can say, hey, Venator 2, I just sent those bombers over there and attack that ship. Or you get those fighters that are going to bomb you. So
now here's why we won't be able to run this list for a while. Here are the squadrons.
Oh, there you go.
You have Luminara and Dooley as the escort,
Yes.
and 7 Arc 170s.
Yeah.
In order to get 7 arcs, you have to have 4 squad packs. So I don't know when that's going to happen, but if it probably will happen whenever I get into Republic. Rob's going to get a second one,
I'm going to at least get a second
and
one.
I'm going to be getting 2.
Yeah. So,
Whenever I get into it.
Right.
So it'll probably, and I'll just have to borrow Rob's squads.
Right. That's all right.
Maybe eventually this could be a horrible list because 2 ship lists are tough because you have to be very careful because every ship loss is a massive loss.
Oh, God.
But Venators, I mean, they have shields like a Star Destroyer and 9 health, and especially with your flagship having advanced projectors makes it even more survivable. And I'm sure no one's going to want to see 7 arcs barreling down on them at speed 3.
No.
And yeah.
Well, yeah, follow me to
Yeah, that's what the All Fighters follow me. It's
Yeah.
basic speed 3.
Oh, that's right, speed 2. I'm sorry, I'm used to Rebels.
And then you have Luminara, so it makes, and you just keep her right in the middle of your arc ball,
yeah.
so people's shots against them are obstructed.
Now, see, that's interesting then, because I'm thinking if you're going to do that, I'll get a second invisible hand and go the dreadnought version for the invisible hand and the carrier, and let us see 2v2 how that would work.
Dual Venator versus
Yeah,
Municipal,
yeah.
Dual Providence.
So
Yeah, that would be an interesting.
that would be a
face-off.
very interesting one.
So maybe by the end of the summer, folks.
Yeah.
That's realistically as soon as I'm even going to consider
Well, yeah, me too.
investing in these. But maybe in the future, this could also be a terrible list. Who knows? The main thing is going to be difficult is I'm not sure how I'm going to have the Venator use his All Fighters Follow Me because you need tokens for that. So I might need to play around, look at some officers or something, or some way so I can reliably get squad tokens for the Venator 1 to activate All Fighters Follow Me. Or maybe just do it once, grab a squad command at the start of the game, have 1 token, and just save it for that one time I want to boost them up.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was just a quick thing I threw together this week
That's a good one.
for a dual Venator list. Let me know what you guys think about that, and what you would think if you saw that across the table, and how you would. Or it could be easy to counter, so who knows? Because arcs are slow and you only have 2 ships, so you have to be very careful with your positioning.
Exactly. And I would hope that the invisible hand was on the table so I could drop my fighters right when I need to,
Right.
and hopefully do another alpha strike like I did last time. So,
Alright, so then last question from Mark Salmon, this is for both of us. What is your favorite gaming memory?
oh boy. So, Mark, again, you ask a very difficult question. Because gaming memory for me is 38 years worth of gaming.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of memories. And I'm sure Ben's got a lot of memories too. So, we're going to stick it to just Armada. Because I think that's probably going to be the easiest. Because I'll be here all day talking to you. Which I'm sure is a great thing, Mark. I wouldn't mind talking to you, man. But, for the interest of time, we'll just stick with Armada. I would have to say that it's when the drunken party bus was created in front of the SSD.
Not just any SSD, it was the Executor 2.
Executor.
So the maximum amount of dice up front that you can have in the game. And I had spinal armament, and I was constant fire.
Yeah. He had everything he possibly could need to destroy it. And those drunks, they just flew up there by drunkenness right in front of it.
It wasn't intentional.
No. And, yeah, they survived. Actually, I think they were technically flotilla. We'll say they were the only ship that.
Well, I did eventually kill it, ironically, with a side shot.
Yes.
So you flew around to my side, and that's what killed it. It was a side shot. But yeah.
But yeah, that thing lasted so much, and then ever since it has lasted. Until a saboteur Imperial officer climbed aboard the drunken party ship about a bat rep ago, and kind of ruined it. But
I'll do what I can. I'm actually kind of, so I know you kept to Armada. I was actually expecting maybe talk about that Twilight game you and Albert.
Oh, okay. So,
do you remember that one?
Yeah. So Twilight Imperium.
This is 3rd edition. Twilight Imperium 3rd edition.
Ben's favorite board game.
Yep.
Okay. We were playing. I think it was a con, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a glitch con. It's a local con in the area. It's a gaming convention, or it's a nerd convention. You have cosplayers. You have people, coming in dressing up. You have booths. You have panels.
You have everything.
And myself and Buster, we ran the gaming room.
Right.
So there was a smaller gaming contingency. That wasn't the main purpose of the con.
Right.
But we still had gaming events.
So it was late in the afternoon, which brings me to another memory of that same day, actually. But Twilight Imperium was being played. Professor Albert and I were on 2 separate teams. I don't think
you guys were on the same
team. I'm sorry, on the same race. We had more players than actually you could play.
Yeah, we were playing the. If you guys are not familiar with 3rd edition of Twilight, there's actually a campaign version you can play, where you. And we can go off on the tangent on this.
So there's a big campaign version.
You have one player playing the main race that can't be played normally, can only play in a campaign. That was Buster. Then you had 7 other races that were trying to either usurp them or remain loyal.
So we had 9 players altogether, because 2, Professor Albert played 1, and I played 1. And it came down to Ben's sister and Ben's brother-in-law able to win. There was only one of them going to win.
And I thought it was I wasn't playing. I was facilitating, being like a game master because there's too many players.
Yeah, he's roughing and stuff. And helping people out.
I thought for sure it was going to be my sister and my brother. I didn't think you guys had any chance to win.
Now, Albert and I, we looked at the board. Both of us conferred. Everybody else was distracted, of course. And we saw that we could stop his brother-in-law, Zach, from actually winning the game. And we thought, well, we're not going to win. There's no way he and I can win. So we're going to prevent Zach from winning. I don't remember why we picked on Zach, but we did. And we let Ben's sister win. But we stopped it.
Whoa.
Sorry. Did I do that? Did I remember me wrong?
Because you stopped Zach from winning.
Yep.
And then you guys had this Hail Mary play in the same turn.
Oh, that's right.
Where you guys actually won.
Right. Okay, my bad. So
it's Zach still brings it up.
Yes.
We're ready for a rematch game.
Yes.
Because it was so crazy. It was like a 5-point swing, which is huge in my game period. It's a 4 or 5 point swing, and Albert, I think you guys were just playing just to stop Zach. Then halfway through your turn, I think Albert saw, wait, if we do this, and if we actually get lucky, we might actually swing it and actually win the game.
Yeah.
And pulled it off out of nowhere.
Yeah,
it still came down to some dice rolls too, and the dice rolls worked out. And
we were a great team on that one. We really worked together. I could see some situations.
And my sister and Zach still want
rematch
and revenge. So, my favorite gaming memory. This is going to go way back. I have a bunch, just like Rob. This is going way back to when I first actually started advanced gaming. When I started learning that there are more games besides Monopoly out there, or whatever, or Risk. And this was back at the Air Force Academy, and with my Academy friends, and we were playing in a Shadowrun campaign. It's an RPG, and the GM of that campaign was not one of my friends. He was a bit of a jerk, but in that campaign, I was playing a sniper slash face, like face man from the 18.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
And we were on a protection detail at a big football game, and because the GM is a jerk, the attack on the person he decided to drop a fuel air bomb on the stadium. Like, are you really going to do that to your players? Good GMs don't do that, by the way. If you guys are GMs, don't do that to your players. Give them at least a chance. But anyway, I was able to not only I jumped off the top of the stadium, survived by burning karma, and was able to made the dice rolls I needed to get out of the blast radius, jump over a fence and get behind cover. All it came down to dice rolls, and the GM was doing everything he could to make me fail because his goal was to kill everybody in the party. He wanted to do a TDK until the party killed.
No.
That's the kind of guy he was. But I denied him.
Good.
And I had only been gaming those types of games for like 6 months. I was so brand new to the whole gaming scene, and I was so excited. I was like, and none of us liked that guy anyway. And I was so happy. I was like, yeah, that's right. You know, I survived despite your best efforts. You know, and and I just picked that one because that was my first memory of being like, you know, super excited that I pulled it off. And it's that guy's actually you haven't met him yet, but I run game RPGs a lot, and I'm currently running a Shadowrun campaign. And that character that survived has actually become an NPC in all the games that I run now. But you haven't encountered him yet in this current campaign, but you will. But
did I encounter her before?
Yes.
Oh, didn't she die?
That's a he.
Okay.
And no.
Sorry, never mind. No.
It was a campaign where you got taken over and tried to kill Emily because you didn't.
Yeah.
Anyway,
rabbit holes.
Hold back. Shadowrun. We'll stop.
So we could say a lot more.
Yeah. And there's another second honorable mention. Again, this is my Academy buddies back then in our Star Wars campaign. I've talked about these Star Wars campaigns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My Academy buddies that run for years. And it's where I played, my character's name was Maximus Reigns. He was a soldier. We were playing, this was during the Civil War, so like in between A New Hope and Empire.
Right. And
we were on a planet, and we were attacked by a Dark Jedi, because they didn't have Inquisitors back then. We might call it an Inquisitor now.
Right, yeah.
But back then it was just a Dark Jedi, and I charged it with a vibro knife, because he kept blocking my blaster bolts. And this was the D20 system, Saga.
Yeah.
So I rolled 2 natural 20s back to back. So I rolled a natural 20, and you had to roll another 20 to confirm the crit.
Right.
2 nat 20s in a row, so I actually stabbed. I didn't kill him, but I actually ran in like a guy, and then I saw it happen. For those of you guys who are familiar with Star Wars: The Old Republic, the online MMO, their trailers are fantastic.
Oh,
and trailer number 2, where it shows them fighting over Alderaan, shows a rebel trooper charging a Sith with a grenade and a knife.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's my guy!
They took that from me!
It's like, I did that! With 2 natural 20s.
They owe me! They owe me money now! They owe me money!
So those are some of my earliest and favorite gaming memories, where it was just against all odds and just defying, you know, so.
I think there's one other honorable mention that both Ben and I can go with. And that would be on the 4th of July. There was a party that we went to, a gaming we went to. And
oh gosh.
It was more of a social dexterity type game.
It's called Quelf.
Quelf, thank you.
With it. And it's much better played when you're drunk.
Yes.
And we were all drunk.
And we were all drunk, and that was a heck of a time. Especially when Ben goes, wow, yeah, I want to try some, was it whiskey? Or was it?
It was whiskey.
Whiskey, yeah. Yeah, you want to take a shot of that? I said, sure. So I put a straw in it. And he said, 1, 2, 3, and I just sucked mine down. He goes, what? You sucked it down with a straw?
So he had a shot, and I had a shot, and I did, took the shot. And I thought I was just going to do this.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, just put a straw in it. So just imagine straight whiskey sucking it through a straw in one go.
Yep. And then we could flip.
Yeah, right? Just like, boom. So that blew my mind.
Yeah, so that was another favorite of mine anyway. So it was a good gaming memory.
Yeah, it was just because he had lipstick all over his face.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The girls kept kissing him on his forehead.
Yeah, it was quick.
Yeah, it was fun.
So,
All right, so running way over time, guys. This might be a 2-hour video.
Yeah.
Hope you guys are you enjoying it, or for maybe take this in sections, maybe. All right. So next we've got Maxwell Silver.
Yes. Hey, Maxwell.
All right. Okie dokie. A question to you both: what is your preferred hot beverage or cold when gaming? His preferred beverage is Earl Grey or single malt Scotch. We evidently have a Captain John Picard fan.
Yes,
Tea, Earl Grey.
So we kind of hit it a little bit in the last question, but normally, especially when we're taping, I don't drink alcohol anyway.
Yeah, and I don't either, just because I got so much going on with having to worry about the filming, behind the scenes stuff that goes on and everything.
So for that, but we have in the past drank when we played the game.
Well, quite often.
Okay, so drunken party bus is actually a real thing.
Yeah, when we get together, it's just like us and Buster and Albert, like our normal group.
Our close group. We can let loose that.
Yeah.
But in a game like in Armada right now, while we're filming, I'll drink Coke, which you probably have not seen on the channel, as almost every putting on there. It's almost every shot of Ben where he's doing his own stuff.
And that's just because that's what Rob has here. So that's what
I have here. And then I also drink Bangs. I like Bangs. They're really good energy drinks. Actually, I'm going to drink one today, right now. Gets me more focused. And I did that especially for today, because today's going to be really long,
yeah, because we're filming this, and after we're done filming this, we're filming a bad rep.
Yep.
So when that rep will be released tomorrow, on Revenge of the 5th, just you guys watching this.
Yeah. So I knew that was coming, and I said, okay, I better get stoked up for this. I need to concentrate on all your questions, because you got really good questions, guys. And then, of course, it would be, let's go check my notes real quick here. Oh, whiskey, of course, we already touched on that. So, or even rum and Coke and stuff like that sometimes. So, those are my main ones. And I do have a craft beer I do like nearby that I like to drink that too. Which we go trivia nights.
Yeah.
I drink that.
So for gaming, I really like hard ciders, and my favorite is Strongbow, or actually my favorite is actually a local brewing company called Black Apple.
Yes.
And I really like having that while gaming and drinking that while gaming. I also like vodka, so I usually, whenever I'm gaming at home, like right now our RPGs we do it remote.
Right.
Like I stay at my place and we just do it over online.
You need it for that one actually.
Yeah. So I like vodka cranberry or vodka and a screwdriver vodka orange juice.
Ooh.
And so those are just my easy go-tos when gaming. I have other drinks that I like better when I'm going out and drinking out in bar, but they're not fancy drinks. These ones are easier to do while you're gaming, not as easy to spill when moving stuff around, all that kind of stuff. And also, many reasons why you sleep cards. One is just for general wear and tear, but also for spilling drinks.
Right.
And it has happened many times.
Mm-hmm. There
goes a rabbit.
Yep.
I'm going to chase it. So there's, at one of our game days, and this is one that Buster was hosting at the lake via his clubhouse. And we were playing, I don't even know if you were there, but it was Keegan, Buster, myself, and Gayla, and we all had wine on the table. We were playing this big Roman board game. I can't remember what it's called. It was a Roman board game, like we were like playing a Roman houses and trying to compete for the Empire.
I think I played it.
And I had a glass of Chardonnay and spilled.
No.
Got all over it.
Oh.
We dabbed it all up and everything. And it wasn't my game, it was Keegan's game. I apologize.
No.
And so there's a nice stain on there. And he kind of made a big deal of it. I made a big deal of it because I spilled all over his game.
Yes.
Then 30 minutes later, he spilled his glass of red wine on it.
So to be honest, at that point, it's okay.
It's okay. So
Yeah.
that game board now had, But anyway, it was funny how I did this, and there have been many spills with over the years of us gaming, of whether it's food or drink, and it just happens. You want to be very careful, but it just happens. But that's also that's why you sleep cards.
Actually, it was a couple bat reps ago, and I don't remember exactly which one, but we were cleaning up, and Ben walks by, and he knocks over my drink, and he goes all over. Luckily, with the floor though, which sounds weird, I'm sure, to some people. But it was all over the floor, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, no." I'm like, "Damn, it's all right." None of the cards were hit. That was my concern. Or the mat, as you can see in front of you. I mean, that's my concern. And he's like, "But I can't." I was like, "Ben, it's fine, don't worry." And so he cleaned it all up and everything else. So, yeah. So any spills, and it can happen before setup or not.
Whatever you guys are eating or drinking while gaming, make sure you guys know.
Y'all been doing it. Yeah.
Be as careful as you can so you don't ruin your games.
And no Cheetos.
And at the well, if you're gonna have Cheetos,
still
sleep cards.
That's still.
So. All right. Well, thank you, Maxwell.
Thanks, Maxwell.
And also thank you for being. You've got to be a Picard fan if you drink Earl Grey. So,
yeah.
I am as well. All right. So we got Jurgen GDB next. Same question for both Social General Rob and Ben. Although tournament regulations are 400-point builds, do you think or do you prefer a 600 build as the standard? If so, would you recommend house rules for better fleet engagements? So for tournament play, Rob and I both prefer 600-point games. That's our favorite way to play.
But we're not doing tournament.
Right. For tournament play, that would, just from what the one I played in and just by seeing stuff online, that would be almost untenable to realistically be able to play it. I think 500 could be interesting. I've suggested that on it was either the Facebook forums or maybe on a Discord. I suggested it was a conversation about tournament play, increasing point value, and I thought 500 points, and that was shot down pretty quick. I don't think anybody agreed with me. The people that actually play tournaments, mainly because when you're up that, you're going to be able to bring more squadrons because it's a third.
That's true.
And squad play does slow down the gameplay.
Yes.
Especially if you're not used to squad play, or if you're playing with someone that's going to be really meticulous and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Which, if you're playing a tournament for surprises, I mean,
you're going to
be meticulous. So
you should be.
I think even 500 points might be too much. I think, anyway, I don't realistically think it's going to increase anytime soon. No. But I think 500 could be a possibility if, like how you mentioned, a house rule where, like, 500-point tournament, but the squads are still 134.
I can see that.
So the squad value is you're still limited to the 400-point squad value, but you have 100 more points to play with for like ships and upgrades. You can actually get. So that could be, I don't know, good or bad. But as far as the way we like to play, we like 600 points because it feels more like you actually have a fleet.
Yeah.
Commanding. We actually haven't done a 600-point game in a while. We do.
Yes, we do.
We haven't done one in a couple of battle reps, but
maybe my favorite list coming out. I bet you.
Oh, is that going to be a 600-pointer?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Well, maybe we can debut that one for the next 600-point game.
Like I said, a couple months.
Yep. So yeah. So but yeah, 600 points just has, I think, is just a great feel for actually having a fleet and squads. And you feel like it's actually an armada you're commanding.
Yes.
Like the name suggests, and it's not too unwieldy. It's not like I mean we played an 800-point game, we played 1200-point games. Those can get a bit unwieldy.
That 800 point. Yeah, that was 600
points is a nice sweet spot, I think.
Yes.
So, but again, just for playing amongst friends casually, and because it just feels like you're actually commanding a fleet.
Yeah. So. And I agree. I almost the same exact reasons, to be honest. And Ben and I did not share answers beforehand at all. I think that the 400 point would be for ease of play. It make time go faster because I think some are timed actually.
No, they are timed.
They're timed.
I think
like an hour.
No, it's 2 hours.
2 hours.
I think it's 2 hours to play a game.
So, and I know that when we've done 400 points, it's been more than of course we're filming, but it's been more than 2 hours.
Well, it takes longer for us. Because one of the filming.
Yeah.
And with like when I play with Robbie at Gear, I mean just for a natural. Since I have to do all the movement when we play, it just takes longer time.
Right.
And since we're here at Rob's place, I'm not in a hurry.
Right.
I'm not in a hurry. It's usually on a Saturday or Sunday, and we just have all day set aside.
Yeah.
It usually takes us like 7-8 hours to film a battle rep, just because of the filming, and we take our time and just not in a hurry. But like when I play with Robbie at Gear, we get done in about 2 hours.
2 hours.
So when you have two players playing that are able just to, and that's with me filming.
Right.
So when you're not having to worry about the camera, you can easily get a game in under 2 hours.
Yeah.
So, but when you increase the point value, that can make it hard to fit a game within 2 hours.
Right.
So.
And then with house rules, I wasn't quite sure what he meant by that at first. After listening to Ben, though, that made more sense. But I'll just go by my original house rules, and Ben and I do house rules here. I think that might be more confusing for both players and the ref. Okay, who has to come in and do, well, let me see, well, that worked, and if there's a question about a rule. So that might be a little more confusing, but it slowed the game down dramatically.
Well, they do have, but it's one thing, they do have their own version of house rules in tournament play.
Okay.
So one thing you guys might not know, and I've been playing this way for years now, just because it came out. It's a tournament rule where you're limited to 2 flotillas.
Oh, never had any more than that. But.
Yeah, and I only own 2 of each faction, so we've never. But rules in the game, the base rules, you can bring as many flotillas as your heart desires. But for tournament play, you're limited to 2, and that's the way I think most people play.
Right.
And that's not an Armada rule. That's an Armada tournament rule. That's just kind of filtered out to. And I think it's a good rule, but that's a house rule that's only in tournaments.
Right.
And there's a couple other ones like that that aren't Armada specific, they're tournament specific. I think that's the only one that I play with. That's a tournament rule.
I wouldn't know.
And it's also just because I only have 2 flotillas of each anyway, so we don't even have the option of going beyond that. But that's just an example of one that is a house rule for tournaments. That's not part of the overall Armada rules.
So I'm not a tournament player.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Well,
like we said before.
I think you've been one.
I've been to one. Yeah, it's at Gen Con. That was it.
Which actually was interesting when Ben went to that, because he asked each of us in the group of players that he has to try to go against him, because he wanted to test out before he went there. He wanted to make sure he knew the rules. He wanted to make sure everything.
And keep in mind that they had never played before, so I did.
Right.
I played a couple games with Buster's out at the time I was living at Buster's place. I think I played one with. I don't know if I got out in gaming. I think I had a game in with Albert. Got a game in with you. And it was kind of funny because
we didn't know what we're doing.
They didn't know what they were doing, and I was barely doing it. Then I got to playing against people that were actually playing for nationals, and got my butt whipped.
Yeah,
playing against people that knew what they were doing.
And I think there's only been one tournament I've been in, and that goes back to the con that we're talking about with the BlizzCon there, and that was a BattleTech tournament. Going back to BattleTech right here, and it was a great tournament. Ben was a ref, and the Buster, our friend, was a ref. They kind of led it, and I actually won. And I don't do tournaments. I mean, I don't really think very hard. Okay, I gotta win this. I gotta do that. I gotta do this. Oh my gosh! I just played. And that was great to actually win it. And I was like, what? I mean, I won.
Well, in all fairness, of all the games you play, you probably know BattleTech the best. You've been playing it the longest.
Yes. So I have been playing since about the 80-ish.
Yeah, so it's not like a game you were learning. You're BattleTech veteran, so
yeah.
I wasn't surprised that you won, especially based on the list that you brought. So
that's the only tournament I've actually been in.
Yeah. But for the most part, we're casual players, and I'd like to try it out in the future. It's that every now and again I want to try out, just because I like to challenge myself and to just try the experience out, etc. For once the tournament play starts picking up.
Yeah, and I think once I get better at it, I think I will too. I'll probably join Ben, and even if I lose right away and Ben goes the next one, I'll go stay there and just root.
Well, the way that they work is like you play like a guaranteed 3-4 games. It's like Swiss rounds, so you're gonna be able to play.
Right, but if you continue and I don't, I would stay by and
watch. You and I would both be sitting by watching.
Right. Well, come on. But until then,
tournament players, man, they're really good, and they put these lists together, and they practice them for months.
Oh yeah.
And they're not friendly lists. They're what we would call like cheese lists.
Oh.
Yeah, cheesy lists, and that's what you need to do when you go to a tournament. Is you're putting together the most outrageous thing you can do to win.
Yes.
So
true, very true.
And that's tough to play against. You just have to have the practice to play against that kind of thing, and we just don't. But maybe in the future we'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
See what can happen.
Mm-hmm.
So. All right, next we have Kevin Thomer, which I think that's also a Crazy Kev. I think it says Crazy Kev. This is his handle. So for General Rob, how did you get started playing Armada, and how long have you been playing? Kind of sort of already answered that, but you can do it more elaborate.
So,
and what do you enjoy most about the game, and what do you find the most frustrating?
So there's a few other things in there. Might have actually put him in there by accident. So I started a year after, and Ben had basically got most of his stuff. The frustrating part for me was Squadrons. Because, well, actually, that's a second. How about that's a second? The first one, major thing that was frustrating for me at the time, not anymore now, was not being able to shoot, then move. Because, move and shoot. See, I'm already doing it backwards right now. I'm used to it now.
Because every other game we play
is move and shoot.
And that's almost, I can't actually think off the top of my head a game that does it like Armada.
No, I don't. So it's like, what? So it was, that's like, no, Rob, you can't do it that way, you gotta do it this way. But I'm like, why would you do that? That's the rules, all right. And then Squadrons after that. Not the rogues, but just the non-rogues. Because it was like, well, I gotta command them to either fire or move. Or, I mean, fire and move, I should say. Or they either move or they fire where they are. Well, what? Why can't they do both? So those things are probably the most frustrating of them all. Was that a third one?
No, that's about it. Okay. And like I said, we had already answered the when you got started and everything. But and that is very common for as far as the frustrating thing for new players. I think that's right. The whole that you have to shoot first then move.
Right.
That's again
different.
Any other game that you play. And if there's another game like that, let me know. I don't know of any. I've played a lot of tabletop games, a lot of miniatures games, and every single one of them, except Armada, is where you get to move and then you fire. It took a long time. It took a long time for me to get used to the fact that you shoot first and then you move. So you actually have to have that planning ahead element. You always have to be planning a turn ahead, not only with your commands but also with your movement and your attacking, which is what attracted me to Armada, and then. Squadron play, I think Squadron play is the last thing to master. I think it's the hardest thing to learn, Squadron play, and I think it's the hardest thing to master in the game of Armada. But if you can do it, it'll really up your game. Because if you can, I think a good Squadron player going up against a good player that's not bringing squads, the good squad player will win. 9 times out of 10. That's what not all the time because it's still a dice game thing. But if I'm putting money on Vegas, I'm putting money on the guy that knows how to play squads. Right. As opposed to the guy that doesn't know how to play squads.
Put money on Ben right now. But if he's bringing slow,
I wouldn't. But the
sorry.
No, it's alright. I was probably going to chase a rabbit and just forgot what I was going to say. But it was just going to be something about just again. I also, when you learn how to play squads well, it becomes more enjoyable. That's what I was going to say. Because it could, like Rob said, it can be really frustrating trying to do squadrons when it's just you haven't had to practice. It can be very frustrating. It can really slow the game down. But once you get squadron play down, you get comfortable with it. It makes the game so much more enjoyable. I think it's so much more fun when you have your ships, your carriers, and you have your squads that you're commanding like World War II, and when you start getting it down, where you don't have to, it just adds such a more thematic, fun element to the game once you get it down and you're comfortable with it. And then the person you're playing with is comfortable with it, your friends, and it can just add much more dynamic situations to the game. So, well, I think we are down to our last question.
Good.
We actually have Dutch Vander. Dutch himself is here.
Hey, Dutch.
So.
Just talking about your flying around sleep there a while ago.
So he says, I love these podcast themed episodes.
Thank you.
And we're going to try to do more of these. And I've got a couple questions for both you and Social General Rob. The first one, do you think that we'll see Rebel or Imperial expansions in the nearest future? Or do you guys think that AMG will focus on the prequels factions? So let's stick with that one for now.
Okay, I think they will finish the current CIS ships and maybe, that's a big maybe by the way, another squadron pack this year. Come December and January, they'll probably announce another expansion. Some reasons for that: A, they're going through transition right now from Fantasy Flight all the way to AMG, and then of course you heard Suez Canal and all the distributors and all that stuff. They probably have to set up a kind of back paperwork that we don't even see, because all background stuff, logistics, redoing contracts and everything else. So I think, and then I don't even know if they have a team yet for Armada, but I saw something that they might not, but their teamwork is just teams getting together now. So I think it's probably going to be probably the end of the year we'll hear something besides the current CIS and maybe a squadron pack. Come on.
So I think AMG is going to be focusing on the prequels for the near future. So I think we're going to have Clone Wars for a couple years, which is unfortunate because I'm mainly a Rebel One Empire player, but Rebel One Empire had a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a couple years that we're going to be seeing purely Clone Wars stuff for the Republic and the Separatists, as AMG gets their footing and fills out the Clone Wars and Separatist fleets, squadrons, cards, etc. And I think it probably won't be until maybe, I'm going to put out a number, I'm going to say it might be at least 3 years before we see some new stuff for Rebels and Empire. That's just my guess. And hopefully, if you go based on the past with Fantasy Flight when they had control, there were a couple times we maybe got one expansion a year, and then sometimes we actually got 2 or 3. So things can be variable, but I think to your question, it's going to be focused on prequels for the next few years, and it's going to be a few years before we see anything other than Clone Wars stuff. So that's my guess. So the second part of the question, we know the situation we live in at the moment. He's from Italia.
Oh.
He's Italian. So from Italy, and unfortunately, it sounds like he says they cannot play in real life right now. Sounds like they have some pretty strict lockdown. Rob and I are in a really fortunate spot that we can play. But I know most of you guys are in really strict lockdown situations.
And Italy got hit hard.
Yeah.
It really did. So I hope you guys are doing all right.
Yeah.
We're fortunate because in the beginning we started what we, I guess, was commonly known as COVID bubble. And for a while we did not go near each other, by the way, but we started with a certain group of us would get together, a close-knit group of us would get together. It slowed down for a while. We went through Zoom or whatever you want to call it, play. And then slowly as people got vaccines and such, and were basically safe, or I don't know.
Well, this was long before vaccines. It was.
Yeah, but I mean,
we actually, because we are a small group.
Right.
We started for a couple months when it hit here in the U.S., specifically here in Arkansas, that's where we live.
Right.
It was a couple months where we just played remote. Like RPGs. We just played. And we did like some fun things with like BattleTech that I did at his place where he live streamed for us. We told him where to go. But about the summer of last year, we basically were just we just kept it to a small group. Me, you, Albert, and Buster and Carrie. And if any of us had been out of the state, we'd self-quarantine ourselves.
Right, or
if we
fear of infection.
Or we just weren't feeling well, we'd self-quarantine ourselves. But we just kept our interactions just between us. They call it like a pod or a COVID bubble
or something.
Or whatever. And just kept it, core group just does.
Yeah.
And we're just fortunate that we have that core group, because I know a lot of people don't have that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's how we were able to play and keep hanging out and stuff like that throughout COVID. So we were very fortunate on that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, most people actually aren't fortunate like that. And to Dutch Vander's question, the actual question part of that saying because he's locked down in Italy, what do we think about Tabletop Simulator or Vassal for doing Armada play online? And I don't know if you've ever tried it out,
I've never tried Vassal.
Yeah, I've never tried Vassal. I've only tried the Tabletop Simulator mod.
I've seen Vassal used as a tutorial for somebody saying how to move and stuff like that. It was okay. Okay, I wasn't a big fan of it. Tabletop Simulator, I've been tempted to. I talked to Ben about it. And I said, what do you think about it? I mean, have you tried it at all? Blah, blah. And after we talked, and he'll go more about his reasons or whatever, but I think it's more that I need social interaction. I'm an extrovert, if you couldn't tell. And I like that social interaction. I really do. I like seeing Ben across the board from me. We're playing, let's say, the Drunken Party Bus. I mean, I know it's been repeating that throughout the whole entire thing, but it doesn't get blown up. We're both like, all right, yeah, we're cheering it on at the same time. I mean, he's frustrated a little bit that he didn't kill it, but he's also like, yes, it survived, and stuff like that. So we get excited for each other, even when we do great rolls or bad rolls for each other. And I think, to me, if I went on something like that, I don't think I would get the same feeling of playing with somebody the same way. It'd be like, okay, move that ship here. Okay, do this, blah, blah, blah. It'd be more mechanical for me. I mean, I don't know. There could be some kind of chat box where you can hear each other talk and stuff like that. There could be.
There is.
There is? Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But for everyone, I mean, especially you, Dutch, I mean, yeah, I've seen tournaments being played over there in Europe on tabletop, and they're good. I mean, they're good, except for the moderator sometimes. But that's another different story with the whole. But I watched a couple of tournaments on there, and they're pretty good. And I think I would, by the looks of the two programs, like I said, Vassal and Tabletop, I'd probably, if I had a choice, I'd pick Tabletop, because it looks more like the models, which I think is something else we'll be bringing up, is that I like to see the models on the board, literally the physical models. So that's just me, but I might still try it. So don't be surprised. You might be going against me someday, Mark. I mean, not Mark, my bad, Dutch.
So I think both of those programs are fantastic. The people that created these modders are just doing the Lord's work for sure. And I think it's been a fantastic option for the majority of people who cannot meet up in person and play.
Yes.
And to Rob's point about the social interaction, you can still, there is interaction. Obviously, it's not face to face, but
right, yeah.
Depending on your setup, I mean, you can still do chat, you can do Discord, LinkedIn with Tabletop, etc. And the mechanics keep getting smoother and better as they come up with better updated versions. So I think that they're both fantastic ways to play, especially
I agree.
If you have no other recourse, especially right now. And it's one of those things, I think it's a good way to be able to, and I want to do this. I need to, I'm actually going to put myself on notice now, but I need, James Marr, the Irish Mad Cat, has asked if he and I could get a game on Tabletop and maybe record it. And I haven't committed to it yet. So I need to commit to it, learn the system of Tabletop Simulator, and I'm going to try to commit myself now to you guys on camera that I'm going to try to see if we can't get to work in the month of May to maybe set up a game with James Marr. And because the nice thing about these programs is that I'm never going to be able to play real life somebody in Ireland.
Exactly.
Where he lives.
Or Italy.
Or Italy.
Yeah.
Or anywhere else that isn't within driving distance of where I live.
Right.
Because I just don't have the means to travel internationally, even if COVID wasn't around.
Right.
So, in order to interact with the greater Armada community and have the games with the greater Armada community, Tabletop Simulator and Vassal are fantastic tools.
Yes.
And it's something that I'm not utilizing currently, but I want and need to utilize more in the future. And I think it would be interesting, something in the future, for the channel that maybe try to set games with subscribers.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Something similar to maybe you get do throw out challenges or something.
Yeah.
And record games on the simulator for subscribers, that kind of thing. I just thought of that just now. That could be an interesting thing to try in the future, in the next couple months, for a new thing for the channel. So
it's not just Ben controlling the channel. All of us are. The whole entire community. You guys are. So which is great.
Yep.
And Irish Mad Cat, if you're out there and you're watching, he's saying May. Challenge him now. Get ready.
Yep.
Keep him to his word.
Yep,
I'll do my best on this side. I can't promise you anything.
We'll set a date, and I'll make sure I learn the program, or relearn it. I used to play a couple years ago on it, but relearn the program and get a game, and that we can put up on the channel. So that is all for the questions. And thank you guys for sticking around, if you're still sticking around. Or,
if you need to go to a dead camera right now.
Yeah, if you need to take breaks, hope you did.
Yeah.
I think this is going to come out to be like 2 hours or more. But I really enjoyed it, just sitting here talking
I did
about
too.
the questions you guys asked, and just, even though it's not direct talking like a chat, it's almost like we're conversing with you guys in a tangential fashion.
Even if we go on tangents ourselves.
Yep, chasing lots of rabbits. So the question for the giveaway for the Invisible Hand expansion for the month of May, that Garrett Vance is providing as a prize. The question isn't really a question. It's just going to give me your responses to our AMA, our topics we talked about. Do you agree with us? Disagree?
Yeah.
You go and give me some of your answers to some of these questions that were asked for the AMA. What your thoughts are. So just for this video, to enter into the giveaways, there's going to be general interaction in the comments and just conversing. No specific question, no specific response. So just conversing and talking about the AMA that we just had, and talking just and conversing in general in the comments.
And I have one more thing, if I could ask you guys for a question. Now, this is not anything to do with this Adamant Taters workshop or anything like that. This is just a general question I have for all of you. So, before you start playing a Armada game, what do you do? What do you do to pump yourself up? Do you listen to certain music? And if so, what? I mean, I'm pretty sure Ben knows what I do.
Yeah, I came in today, had the Mandalorian soundtrack playing. He had Weird Al last week playing. And I think he had some sort of heavy metal a couple weeks ago. Wasn't familiar with the group.
Imperial March, heavy metal style. And so I do all kinds, but it's usually centered around Star Wars to get me into that mood. But you don't have to. I mean, whatever. I'm just curious. And again, this is not anything to do with Admiral Tater's workshop. Tater's shop, sorry.
Well, it could be. It could be part of the engagement in the comments for this video.
Yeah, okay.
So,
all right. I didn't want to say that it wasn't.
Any engagement at all in this video, whether it's answering what you do to pump yourself up for a game, responding to the AMA questions, any comment that you make in this video, just one per video, but as many comments as you want to talk, but just one comment will be one entry, and for the giveaway. And anything else?
No, I think that's it. I think that'd be an interesting question. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for watching and for submitting the questions. Yes. We're going to do one of these once a month. So June will be our next AMA, so keep on the lookout for that next month. And thank you for engaging with us in the comments, with your questions, and all that good stuff. So until next time, take it easy.
The Force with you.